What's going on, guys? My name's Lance. We've got an amateur PC build for you today. I've never built a PC before besides helping my brother out with his. We decided to go ahead and upgrade our system. Running before, we had an i9-10850K with our 2060 Super before this build. We were kind of getting limited on what we could do to a certain extent while streaming. We stream over on Twitch at making_green. 5 or 6 days a week, maybe even 7 days. This week it'll be actually 7 days. Anyways, so we decided to go ahead and upgrade our system because we just weren't getting what we wanted to out of it. As an amateur, I kind of want to show y'all what I go through. I kind of plan on voiceovering parts and then letting my miserable self show you how the build went at certain times where we just were like doing the dumbest stuff you can imagine. So I see a lot of PC builds from, you know, big YouTubers where, man, it's so easy. They fly through it like you couldn't imagine. Me being an amateur at this, I didn't even know what a CPU was 6 months ago. And I've kind of been doing my homework on it. But I just kind of want y'all to see that it's not as easy as sometimes it looks, although it kind of is. It's hard to explain. But when you're going through it as an amateur, for your first or second time or whatever, doing it on your own, you're going to come into Roblox and I think the best thing that came out of this was for me to realize that just look at the manuals, Google, like YouTube. Don't be afraid to do it. Just do it. All right, guys, so here we're going with the MSI MPG Z490 Gaming Edge Wi-Fi motherboard. This thing does all that we need it to. It's not freaking $300 or anything. I think it was 180 bucks, maybe 190 bucks off of Amazon. So it's a little higher than I wanted to spend, but it does the job. It's got Wi-Fi, like we said. It's got plenty of USB ports. It's compatible with the M.2 that we wanted to use. So really, only other thing than that to worry about was the CPU. Make sure the CPU fit onto it. So all that is compatible. Didn't need anything fancy. So we're going to kind of take a look at taking that thing apart, or taking that out of the box, and then start putting components on it. I thought you were going to take a picture again.
You run wire every day?
I need to. What up, bitches? Hey, come check out the stream. What is it? Making_green on Twitch. Come on. So here's a perfect example of an amateur moment. We were going through thinking that the screws for like attaching the motherboard to the case were going to be with the motherboard. Ended up they were stuck with the case inside. And so we spent about 10 good minutes looking for these screws before we decided to open up the case and find that they were inside of the case. So have fun with that. All right, so with the RAM, we went with the T-Force Delta DDR4 3000 memory. Nothing crazy special. I wanted a little RGB on this build just because it's a cool thing to do and I like how it looks.
Beautiful. It's a RGB RAM because I'm a bougie bitch. You know what I'm saying?
So we went ahead and went with that. Good all-around RAM, cheap for the amount of memory that we got and the quality. It's just a really good middle ground at a great price. Like I said, nothing special. It's definitely overkill for this build. We most likely will never use, you know, the 32 gigs to its potential. I went with the build because I wanted to not have to worry about upgrading in the future for a while. And so we're going to go ahead and install the RAM. The biggest thing with the RAM that I found out, because even after this build, I went and discovered that I didn't have one of my RAM sticks clicked in all the way. I've watched a million videos and every one of them talks about to be sure and make sure that the RAM sticks are clicked in all the way. And I still didn't have it all the way in. So do not panic like me whenever you open up your Windows and find out that you only have 16 gigs of RAM when you're supposed to have 32. It's definitely probably gonna be that you don't have one of them clicked in all the way. So make sure whenever you click those RAM sticks down, they're in all the way and that both sides click up. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and install our M.2 drive. This is your storage. We went ahead and went with the Samsung Evo. We got a terabyte of memory, or storage, I should say. See, newbie. So we're going to go ahead and install that. It's pretty self-explanatory. We'll show in the video exactly how to do it, but like I said, it's pretty easy. Just make sure you take off the plastic on the shield and before you stick it back on, and you'll be good to go.
All right, so we got the Samsung 970 Evo. It's a terabyte, so it'll be good enough for now. Okay, so we're just gonna stick this in here. Look at me shaking like a little bitch. This is probably so cringe for people to watch. Okay, so I gotta do that. No judging unless you dump that entire tube of thermal paste on. I don't even know if this is, yeah, it feels like it's gonna work. Alright, so we're gonna tighten the M.2 down. Okay, not over tighten. And then I gotta put this back on. Oh wait, I'm supposed to take off this little wrap. Yeah. My build is good, just gotta leak test and finish cable management. Finishing it tonight, hell yeah, what time you going live, dude? Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten this down. Literally. No, I'm kidding. I don't, but I'm shaking like it because I'm nervous, dude. This is my first time doing this shit. So next, I guess we're gonna do the CPU. I guess, right?
Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and install our CPU. We went the i9-10850K. It's cheaper than the 10900K, and you get pretty close to the same performance. So we just went ahead and went with that. The biggest thing that you want to make sure when you're installing the CPU is not to mess up any of the pins on the CPU and to line up the triangles. So for me, it was the triangle on the CPU in one of the bottom corners or top corners, however you have it in your name. And then there will be like a little kind of triangle on either where you set in the CPU or the cover where the CPU pops down on. So we had a little bit of a hiccup whenever it came to this because it was actually on the cover and I wasn't expecting that. So another amateur moment. So next we'll go ahead and do the CPU cooler fan. We went with the Hyper 212 Cooler Master. We got the black edition just because it was a good price. Figured it would look good on the board with everything else in the RGB.
Okay, I'm just gonna get this.
So on this, I think the biggest thing thinking back on it is
No need to.
with the thermal paste, make sure that you put what you need, obviously. Get a good thermal paste is what I've kind of read and learned. And don't be afraid with any of these parts. It's gonna feel like you're manhandling some of the stuff, but it's necessary most of the time. Like with the CPU fan that went onto the cooler, I felt like I was bending the mounting brackets to get them into place. That's just how it needed to be for them to be tight. So don't be. It's hard for me to say because I don't want to say don't be scared to be forceful, because some of this shit is fragile. But also, don't let it limit to what you can do. Some of the things you're gonna have to, otherwise you're not gonna be able to get it done. So we went through the manual, figured out how to mount the CPU cooler. Between AMD and Intel, there were different ways to do it, so you had to read to understand which way to do it properly for that certain motherboard. And once we got that done, it was pretty self-explanatory. Just took a little time and we got it finished. So we went ahead and attached the mounting brackets to the CPU cooler. Once that was done, we put thermal paste onto the CPU, mounted the CPU cooler, tightened the mounting screws into the motherboard, and we were set from there. We just had to mount the fan on, plug it in, and we were finished with this part.
I'll see that. We're just gonna plug it in just because I want to plug a cord in. There we go. Yeah, there we go, baby. Got our first cord plugged in.
So once we get the motherboard lined up into the case on the offsets, we'll go ahead and screw it down. Pretty self-explanatory. Use the screws that are included. And we're on to the next step after that. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take our power supply out of the box. With this, we went with a Corsair RM750M Gold certified power supply. So nothing crazy, but enough to get us through on this build. We're gonna go ahead and take it out of the box, get all of our cables. This is a modular PSU, so it's pretty easy to hook everything up and not worry about stuff getting in the way. I would recommend not putting in your GPU yet. I found out that I accidentally did and needed to take it off in order to get some of the cords through, and it just got in the way. It can be one of the last things push into the motherboard, and you can just hook up your power to it at the end. So guys, I don't really want to bore y'all with running our cables to the motherboard and cable management, because this took up a good at least hour, if not an hour and a half, after getting everything put into the case of just cable management and making sure that we were plugging stuff into the right place. Refer to your motherboard instruction manual, YouTube videos, Google. There's plenty of info out there. I'm not the person to give it to you, because I even struggled with certain parts of this. And a lot of it depends on your case and how your fans are hooked up and blah, 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 blah. So refer to YouTube, Linus, Jay's 2 Cents, Gamers Nexus. All these guys are amazing, and they are way more knowledgeable than I'll ever be. So let's go ahead and fast forward to what the actual build looks like. Then we'll go ahead and get into a little clip of what it looks like hooked up, and the RGB, and it's just a good looking build, and I'm really happy with it. So let's take a look. Thank y'all for checking out this video. We had a hell of a time putting together this build and doing it on stream. Although we don't do this kind of content very often, we do stream any kind of game you can think of, as well as just chatting and talking and hanging out with everybody. We like to kick it back and have a few beers. So if y'all enjoyed it, please hit that thumbs up button. Maybe leave a comment. Let me know what else you'd like to see. Let me know if there's any good games to play right now. I'm struggling to stay interested in any game that I've played here in the last year or so. So once again, thank y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed it. If you have any questions or anything, not that I can for sure help on it, but I'll try my best in the comments. Y'all have a good one, and hopefully we'll see you around.